I call to order the meeting of the Verona Common Council for Monday, February 9th, 2026 at 7 p.m. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, we'll have the roll.
Helmke.
Present.
Weiss.
Present.
Lytle is excused. Tucker Long.
Here.
Keller.
Here.
Swanson.
Present.
Hoaxed.
Present.
Harrison.
Here.
7 present, Mr. Mayor.
All right, that is enough for quorum, so we can proceed. We will move to item 4, which is public comment. If any members of the public wish to speak, now would be the time to do so. Although if you are here to comment on the roadway discontinuance and vacation for portions of Country View Road, I guess we would ask you to do that under B1, which is a public hearing, but anything else, public comment is open.
Good evening. Dale Biskey from, I grabbed my wrong thing. Dale Biskey, 6422 Shady Bend Road, Town of Verona. I'm here representing the members of the neighborhood who are opposed to the Public Works facility being located on Shady Bend. And I just have some comments on the criteria rating. I believe the compatibility with adjacent uses should be number 1 on your priority list. Once a facility such as this is placed in a residential area, it'll never go away. It'll be there permanently. Plus, the existence of one such facility may be used as a justification for other more intensive industrial uses in that residential area. Further, it ignores the creation of a transition area between the Liberty Drive commercial area and the residential area on Shady Bend Road. So I'm hoping that you will give that more priority so that Shady Bend will end up somewhere further down your list when you're done with your evaluation. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We are still in public comment, so if anyone else wishes to speak, now would be the time to do so.
Good evening. It's good to see all of you again. I hope you're doing well. My name is Scott Side. My wife Kelly and I live at 308 Monte Cristo Circle in Verona. And as you know, we're opposed to the proposed development on the Bacchus property. Less than 2 years ago, in April of 2024, in the Dane County Roadmap for Solving Dane County's Housing Crisis, the report described a healthy vacancy rate for multifamily residential facilities as about 5%. 2 weeks ago, I reported to you that the vacancy rate in Dane County had reached an unprecedented 7.6%, and it looked like it would continue to rise. Today, the vacancy rate in Dane County has now jumped to 8.3%. I think we're going to need a new chart soon. A vacancy rate of 8.3% is by far the highest of any records I found in Dane County or the city of Madison going all the way back to 2004. It's probably safe to say that the multifamily vacancy rates have never been this high in the area. And it's even more significant because, as you can see from the chart, vacancy rates go up and down consistently. They tend to go up in the summer and down at the end of each calendar year. That didn't happen this year, and if the rates go up this summer as we would normally expect, vacancy rates could easily hit double digits. 2 weeks ago, I reported that Apartments.com showed the number of available units in the Apex development was increasing in line with the county vacancy rate. In November, the website showed 13 available units. 2 weeks ago, it showed 22 available, and this morning it showed 24. That's about an 8.3 vacancy rate for that development. So just 2 short years into the crisis mode, it seems the multifamily component of the crisis is already over. And with aggressive building continuing in Madison and over 1,000 new multifamily units in the works over the next 2 to 3 years in Verona, we'll likely see that vacancy rate climb even higher. The real crisis, the continuing crisis, is a lack of single-family homes that people can actually afford to buy. To that end, there is no reason for the city to approve building multifamily projects on property better suited for single-family homes, like the Bacchus property, and plenty of reasons not to approve such projects. Please continue working on greasing the skids for developers to build affordable, mid-range homes that people can afford to buy. We want families to own Verona, not big corporations. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you. We are still in public comment, so if anyone else wishes to speak, now would be the time to do so.
It's open to anybody?
Yeah, we're under a 5-minute limit.
My name is Ed Atkinson. I'm a 20-year vet. And the pride flag, hey, I'm all for it, but I don't think it should be served at a place of military honors who serve and protect this country. And I think it is, yes, fly it, but I think it's a special place for us vet who did our duty and service for you all. And you know, some gave it some and some you gave it all for the service of this country. That's what I think. And anybody see it or listen about it, please contact your alderman and the mayor and let them know their feelings about it. Thank you.
Thank you. We are still in public comment, so if anyone else wishes to speak, now would be the time to do so. Seeing nobody approaching the microphone, we will move on to item 5, which is approval of the minutes from the January 26, 2026 Common Council meeting. Questions, comments, corrections, or motions to approve? Alder Humke.
I move to approve.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Swanson. Last chance for corrections. Seeing no corrections, all those in favor of approving the minutes from the January 26, 2026 Common Council meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. I will move on to item 6, Mayor's Business. Nothing under Mayor's Business. So we can move to item 7, which is announcements. Any announcements from the council? Alder Tucker-Long.
Staff anniversary cards are going around, so sign them before you leave. Thanks.
Any other announcements from the council? Seeing no other announcements, we'll move on to item 8, which is the administrator's report. Mr. Alec.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple announcements. One, for the purposes of the city, the tax payment season is over. We took in nearly $52 million, and there were over 5,000 tax bills that were collected. So they were very, very busy. Our finance director, Mr. Lamers, was in on Saturday processing tax bills, as he tends to do, to make sure that it's all processed on time. So it really is a credit to him. He does a really great job. But yes, there was also some quirky stuff where tax payments were sent to like Massachusetts in some cases from companies who take care of tax payments. So there's a lot of really kind of quirky administrative things that had come about in this collection season that caused a lot of admin time to try and track things down. But overall, it went relatively smooth on the overall collection. The other thing that I have is you're going to see a plaque in the entryway, and it has to do with the We the People, the Statue of Liberty art piece that we have in that entrance. And it's from Marilyn Drager, and she donated the plaque in honor of Mr. Mauro Pozzoban Benelli, and the art piece is called We the People. And that plaque will read, born in Brazil, Mauro pursued his artistic studies in Florence, Italy, before exhibiting in galleries and art shows across the United States. He later established his studio in South Florida, where he created works commissioned by collectors worldwide. An accomplished and internationally recognized artist, he worked across a wide range of mediums, including bronze, marble, terracotta, resin casting, oil, and acrylic. Among his many achievements, he received the prestigious Les Salons Award in France. His work reflects both technical mastery and expressive vision. Mauro passed away at the age of 59 from cancer. So there'll be a nice honorary plaque in the entryway. And we'll get that up within the next couple of weeks. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I just did want to point out at the $52 million tax collection doesn't all go to the city.
Thank you.
It goes to the school district and the county as well, and Madison College, just so you know. Any questions for Mr. Aulick? All right, seeing no further discussion there, we'll move on to item 9, which is the engineer's report. Ms. Fisher.
Thank you. For Country View Road Phase 3, the contractor is expected to resume storm sewer construction at the Country View West Road intersection this month. For Kettle Creek North, Phase 9 and Hemlock Drive utility extension plans have been received and are under review. For the SSM Health project, the water main construction on Paoli will resume this month. And finally, there's a number of different items kind of at the end of the report related to stormwater services. First, the city's municipal separate storm sewer system annual report is being prepared. That will be submitted this spring. That's a permit requirement. The city has applied for a storm drain mural as part of the Madison Area Municipal Stormwater Partnership, which is MAMSWAP in Dane County. So the city currently has 4 murals in place, with the most recent completed at Glacier Ridge Elementary Crosswalk last year. This year's application proposes 2 additional locations, one at Country View Elementary and another at the Verona Area High School. Submission will be evaluated alongside applications from other municipalities within the MAMSWAP program. If the city of Verona is selected, one of the 2 proposed locations would be selected and painted by a local artist. And then finally, the Plant Dane Native Plant Program is active right now through March 17th. So Dane County essentially subsidizes native plants, and you can get them for $3 a plant, which is about half the normal retail price. And so again, up to 35,000 plants will be sold, and there's a link in the engineer report at the very end of the report that you can click on and order plants through that process and then pick them up later in the spring. So with that, I can take any questions.
Any questions for Ms. Fisher? Seeing no questions, we'll move on to item 10, which is committee reports. First up, we have 10A Finance Committee. Alder Humke.
Yeah, I make a motion for payment of the bills in the amount of $1,115,044.41.
Motion by Alder Humke. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Harrison. Alder Humke.
Yeah, we have 3 major payments. One is to AECom for engineering services in the amount of $126,569. The next is to Madison Metro Sewerage District for the 4th quarter services for $527,307. And the final one is to the Verona Chamber of Commerce for the 4th quarter room tax for $84,250.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on the motion to pay the bills? Seeing no questions, all those in favor of paying the bills in the amount specified signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Anything further from Finance?
Nothing further, Mr. Mayor.
Excellent. With that, we will move on to 10B, which is Plan Commission. Alder Swanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll begin by moving to approve resolution number 26-003, discontinuance and vacation of portions of.
I think we're supposed to do the public hearing first on the.
You're right.
Okay.
That's correct. Sorry, let me scroll back up to that. Move to open public hearing on the roadway discontinuance and vacation for portions of Country View Road.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Hoxt. All those in favor of opening the public hearing on this topic, say aye.
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 Opposed, no. And we are in the public hearing at 7:15 p.m. So if anyone is here to contact on the roadway discontinuance and vacation for portions of Country View Road, now would be the time to comment. Not seeing anyone. I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this topic.
So moved.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Hoxt. All those in favor of closing the public hearing on this topic, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And the public hearing on this topic is closed at 7:16 p.m. Alder Swanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will now move to approve resolution number 26-003, discontinuance and vacation of portions of Country View Road effective upon the execution of the warranty deed.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second?
Seconded by Alder Humke. Alder Swanson.
Thank you. A vacation and discontinuance is a required process when right-of-way for a road is no longer needed. On average, the property underneath the roadway that is to be vacated would be relinquished back to the property owner, which in some cases is typically half to one property owner and half to another property owner if different owners are on either side of the road. Notice of the Common Council meeting where the petition for vacation and discontinuance will be acted upon has been provided by State Statute 66.1003. The city has vacated a couple of roadways, including Top Avenue for the Sugar Creek Commons development and John P. Livesey Boulevard for the Costco development. The Plan Commission voted 4-0 with one member abstaining to recommend the Common Council approve the vacation and discontinuance of approximately 5.0165 acres for Country View Road with the following condition, that the discontinuance shall become effective upon the execution of the warranty deed.
Thank you for that explanation. Any questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution number 26-003, discontinuance and vacation of portions of Country View Road with the conditions specified, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Swanson.
Thank you. I move to approve resolution number 26-004 for a preliminary and final plan development amendment to add 19 lots to the Ardent Glen subdivision, subject to and effective upon the listed exemptions and conditions.
And the conditions are in the packet?
To the best of my knowledge.
Okay. Motion, Mr. Kleinmeyer.
So my understanding is that the Plan Commission had some conditions that were identified, but then it's also my understanding that Mr. Aulick had some conditions that staff had identified in the administrator's memo. And so I think the clarification that I'm hoping to get regarding the motion is, are the two, I think there was two conditions that Jamie had in the admin memo. Is that part of your motion?
Yes.
Okay.
And I see that they are listed in the packet as well under the section. Staff are requesting 2 additional conditions.
Okay. So
Okay.
Yep.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Keller. Alder Swanson.
All right, bear with me because this is a lot. The Plan Commission held the required public hearing on February 2nd, 2026. Comments from the public included concerns over existing and future traffic flow, concerns that the developers will ask for additional lots in the future, questioning why a final plat that was already approved is being asked to be amended, questioning how traffic and stormwater runoff will be impacted with additional lots, concern that additional lots will result in less parkland, concern for the amount of lighting, and a complaint of the lack of trees. Comments from the Plan Commission include support for additional density and variety of housing in the city, discussion about traffic and construction of the roadways, an agreement that parks should be completed as promised per each phase with the proposed design, discussion of the impacts of lighting, to which the developer explained that the alleys are lit, with carriage lighting on the gates, on the garages rather than overhead, and lighting near the entrance and monument sign will be turned off until a solution is found, with that particular lighting having been identified as a problem recently. One commissioner suggested keeping the same number of units while making the lots smaller, with the extra land being used for open space versus adding lots. The Plan Commission voted 5-1 to recommend the Common Council approve the preliminary plan and final plan of a planned development for the Ardent Glen subdivision with the following exemptions and conditions. Minimum lot area for the MR zone of 6,000 square feet to 2,550 square feet. Minimum lot width from 50 feet to 31 feet for lots where garages are accessed from an alley. Minimum corner side yard setback from 20 feet to 10 feet. Minimum rear yard setback from 20 feet to 2 feet for lots where garages are accessed from an alley. Minimum paved surface setback from 5 feet to 2 feet. Maximum lot coverage from 50% to 80%. Minimum street right-of-way garage setback from 25 feet to 20 feet. Minimum street right-of-way garage setback from 25 feet to 10 feet for garages accessed from the alley. Minimum front yard patio, steps, uncovered and covered porches, decks, stoops, or similar appurtenances which do not extend above the floor level of the adjacent building entrance from 20 feet to 14 feet. Minimum side yard patio setback from 5 feet to 2 feet. Minimum rear yard deck setback from 20 feet to 10 feet for lots without alley access. The preliminary and final plan development shall be, become effective upon the execution of a development agreement, and the preliminary and final plan development shall be subject to the city's adopted stormwater management conditions. In addition, staff requested 2 additional conditions. First, that this change is not effective unless and until the Park, Recreation, and Forestry Commission has approved the park improvement plans for the Ardent Glen subdivision, and the Common Council has approved an amendment to Ardent Glen development agreements. Commentary on this is that the increase in density for the Ardent Glen subdivision necessarily impacts the amendment to Ardent Glen development agreements, which amendment addresses the park improvements within the subdivision. An increase in density increases the park fees and the park improvement fees, as those terms are defined in the amendment. Further, per the amendment, the Park and Recreation Commission has not yet approved the park improvement plans for the subdivision, and the plans are likely to be impacted by this increase in density. And second, that the park layout that was submitted to the Plan Commission for their February 2nd, 2026 meeting be reflected in the final park improvement plans. Of note, the submitted plans specifically depict a basketball court and 4 pickleball courts.
Thank you. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Alder Tucker Long.
I saw in the packet, and this might be a question for Lucas. So I noticed that it said that in 2023, the final plat was recorded with FEMA agreeing to the floodplain analysis. Does that need to go back? Are these additional units going to be affecting that at all?
Mr. Severson?
I would defer to Ms. Fisher on that, but as one of the conditions of approval is that they will need to adhere to the city's stormwater management regulations. I don't know if Ms. Fisher has anything else to add
So
to
this
that.
area is outside of the floodplain, so it's kind of outside of that approval.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
I'll just call myself real quick. I've heard from people in Verona repeatedly, even today, that they want more single-family housing opportunities in the city. And so Veridians wants to come and say, hey, we want to provide 19 more opportunities for families to live in Verona. 100% in favor of it. The park stuff still needs to be worked out, but like I feel like we were promised certain things regarding the park, and we want to make sure that the developer does a good job and does what we thought we were promised. And also for the future residents who live there in adjacent neighborhoods, it'll be beneficial to them because we want the city to be nice everywhere. Other thoughts on the motion? Alder Swanson?
Yes, I'll add one clarifying point for anyone who didn't see in the packet, but the additional 19 lots are coming from downsizing other lots. They are not coming from, we're not giving them more land. They're not expanding somewhere that they weren't already planning to develop. They're just modifying the size and layout to create additional space for these additional parcels.
Any other comments?
The one vote, do you know what that commissioner's thoughts were on voting no on this?
Yes. He was sort of standing on principle that developers should get it right the first time when they're submitting a plan. I think that was basically the gist of his thought. I don't know if the mayor has more to add on that.
It's always hard to speak for someone else, but I think that was pretty close to it. Yeah, didn't want the developer to be able to change the plan, and thought maybe we should have asked for some additional things in exchange for the density.
These setback changes, do they exist somewhere else already? Like, are there other neighborhoods or municipalities that can? I just don't know what. I mean, I know what 10 feet looks like, but how much different is it than what we currently have in the neighborhoods around here?
Mr. Severson?
Yeah, so the setbacks in Ardent Glen would be similar to some of the projects you see at the Woods at Cathedral Point. So similar style of housing and similar setbacks.
The new changes would be similar to the ones at Woods. Okay.
Yeah, and to be clear, the setbacks shown in the motion are consistent with what was already approved, but because they're asking for an amendment, it just needs to be restated.
Perfect. Thank you.
Other comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution number 26-004, approving a preliminary and final plan development amendment to add 19 lots to the Ardent Glen subdivision with all the conditions and exemptions specified in the packet, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Swanson.
Thank you. I move to approve resolution number 26-005 for preliminary plat to create 425 lots and 34 outlots to the Ardent Glen subdivision, subject to and effective upon the listed exemptions and conditions.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Harrison. Alder Swanson.
Thank you. The Plan Commission voted 5-1 to recommend the Common Council approve the preliminary plat for the Ardent Glen subdivision to modify 406 lots to create 425 lots and 34 outlots with the following conditions. First, that the preliminary plat shall become effective upon the execution of a development agreement, and second, that the final plat shall have private alleys labeled as fire lanes.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution number 26-005, approving a preliminary plat to create 425 lots and 34 outlots to the Arding Glen subdivision with the conditions and exemptions specified in the packet, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. Alder Swanson.
Thank you. I move to approve resolution number 26-006 for a preliminary plan for a planned development to construct a 130-unit senior housing facility located west of County Highway M, south of Morningside Boulevard, and east of proposed Grassland Terrace on the Midland property, subject to and effective upon the listed exemptions and conditions.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Keller. Alder Swanson.
The Plan Commission held the required public hearing on February 2nd, 2026. There were no public comments. Comments from the Plan Commission included support for senior housing, suggestions to modify the handicapped parking stalls in the southern parking lot to have the stalls be wider. All recommended the applicant contact the city's senior services director. Concern for the patio setback being reduced to 10 feet along County Highway M, and questioning the number of underground parking stalls. One commissioner asked about security of the memory care residents abutting County Highway M, which was answered by the applicant that the building is locked down to get into and out of the building with a key card system. The 2,500-foot buffer is a state statute requirement and can be granted an exemption by the Plan Commission and the Common Council, which is being requested by the applicant. The Plan Commission voted 5-0 to recommend the Common Council approve the preliminary plan for a planned development for a 130-unit independent, assisted, and memory care senior housing facility with the following. First, exemptions that should be granted for the following: memory care independent and dependent senior housing to be located in the suburban commercial zoning district, removal of the 2,500-foot buffer required in the community living, i.e. memory care specific use standards. Third, the building height would be increased from 45 feet to 51 feet. And finally, that the patio setback from 20 feet be modified to 10 feet. In addition, conditions of approval, including that the approval shall become effective upon a final plan and the conditions of the final plan.
Thank you. Questions, comments on this motion? Alder Humke.
I have a lot of questions, and I think there's someone on, I have questions for the applicant, if I could.
There is a member of Urban.
He's online, I believe.
On Zoom, yes.
Yes, I
Okay.
am.
Hi there. Okay.
Everybody.
So I sit on the Senior Services Committee and have questions related to the impact of our senior center. So first of all, I'm curious about the different levels. So there's the assisted living, memory care, and then there's also independent living. And I'm wondering if the independent living has flexibility with it, or if it's strictly independent living where they can't move between independent living and assisted living. But they would get.
They'll definitely be able to move from independent living over to assisted living or memory care. In fact, we anticipate that. We plan on that happening over time.
Within their own apartment, though? Like, is?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
They will have to move from one unit to the
Got
other because there are fire codes and the like that pertain to the different classifications.
Great.
We couldn't have a memory care resident living in an independent living unit or vice versa.
Okay. So just like feedback is that just so everybody knows, the senior center only services people that live in independent living. And so if there were ever to be people who are in independent living but also able to get like flex and get some assisted living services, that would create complications for the senior center in determining who they would be having to manage. So I appreciate your clarification on that.
Sure.
Who are you all managing the actual facility? I was trying to look online to find out sort of how this works. I know you're managing the building of it, but wondering how, like, do you have other properties in the area that we like, and how
Great
the
question.
process works? Yeah.
Yeah, so we partner with an experienced operator. In this case, the operator would be Health Dimensions Group. Health Dimensions Group is out of Minneapolis, and they operate over 50 communities in total. Of those 50 communities, over 15 of those communities are in Wisconsin.
Are there
And
any? Okay.
in fact,
Yeah. Go ahead. Are there any in Madison?
There are. If you're familiar with Dimension Living, there's a Dimension Living in Fitchburg. There's one in Stoughton.
Okay.
There's one in Jefferson, Oconomowoc, as well as Pewaukee.
Okay. So it's
those
called
are some of the
Dimension.
closer
Like if I were like, it's called Dimension Living. Okay.
It's called Dimensions Living. And if you go to Health Dimensions Group website, you will see all their locations on their website.
Okay.
but they operate all the day-to-day management of the senior living community. Erdman designs and develops the community,
Okay,
but once it's completed, we turn over all the operations responsibilities to Health Dimension Group. And they've
okay,
been involved along the way designing this community so that it's designed specific to the way they operate.
okay. Can you speak to any of the pieces of that, like the operation of it, in terms of like what the pricing is of like the independent living?
Sure. So whenever we go into a market, we have market studies completed. And it's our intent, we need to be competitive with the market. We pay very close attention to what the competition is charging for rents. And I will say that our goal is that we are not the most expensive community in the marketplace. So we keep a very close eye on like the Courtyard at Fitchburg. We keep a close eye on the Azura community, as well as, others like Quarry Ridge. And so we have to keep a very close eye and must be competitive with those communities in order to fill a community like this.
Okay, can you give me a dollar amount on the independent living, rough, like in a ballpark? It doesn't have to be exact, but like,
Sure.
for
I
like,
can tell you that Quarry Ridge, as an example, they're for an independent living unit, their average is probably about $4,000 a unit.
a month?
The Azura community for assisted living.
I'm talking about independent living.
Okay, so independent living, if we stick with that, so their studio units are around $3,700. Their one-bedroom units are between $3,500 and $4,500. Their two-bedroom units are between $5,400 and $6,500. So we will have to be competitive with that.
We're talking about an independent living senior. I just want to be clear, like we're talking about, you don't get any meals with that.
That's
Okay, I'm just gonna give, go ahead.
It's independent living. You don't get any assistance for that. But there may be meal plan services that are offered within that price, and typically are.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so do the people that live in the independent living community, do that price is guaranteed, like that is, the meal is included in that for sure?
Yes. Yep.
So is it independent, so they get breakfast, lunch, and dinner as part of an independent living community?
Typically, they receive 2 meals a day, and if they want to go in for a third, they can elect for that as part of a meal plan.
Okay. Okay. What are your staffing levels like?
Staffing levels range depending on if it's assisted living or memory care. I can tell you that the memory care are typically 8-to-1.
Okay.
And we have to follow the state guidelines. Typically, I believe the assisted living, and don't quote me on this because I'm not the operator,
Sure.
but I believe it's a 12-to-1 on the assisted living.
Okay. Okay, and then how about, do you have a van? So because this location of this property is, a little bit outside the city, I mean, it's in the city, but it's like on the far end of the city.
Right.
Do you have a van that you would have
Correct.
Yes, you
Yeah,
would.
we would have a community van that we take people to events, to outings, or if they
Okay.
need to go to a doctor's appointment or anything like that, we provide that as part of the service.
Okay. Do you have a social worker on site?
We have LPNs, we will have an RN. I am not sure if
Okay.
Health Dimensions Group has a licensed social worker on site or
Sure.
not.
Okay. Okay. I think that's all the questions I have. My comments are like, that it's good that they have a van because it's good, it relieves for independent living, like the senior center would have to, help those folks. And how many how many independent living units are there in this
60 units.
60 units? So the senior center would have
60.
60. So would that be potentially like 120 people?
No, typically there may be some double occupancy, but generally that's no more than probably 10% of the units. So there may be 66 in the independent living.
Okay, so like for context for folks in terms of when we're thinking about the budget, like if the senior center has to adopt basically these 66 people into the system, like if they need help and support, like that potentially means additional headcount for the senior center, which, as we know, our budgets are tight and things like that. So it's something to consider. But it is really good that they have a van, because that's one of the components that's the trickiest for the senior center, is to like take people to appointments, take people to get food, from the grocery store, because they're already at capacity really for the van itself. So I think that's a good thing. The pricing, she gave me some like parameters, but it's hard to compare because she gave me the pricing kind of without the food component of it. So I think she made it seem like it was good that there was food, if there's food a part of it, because it's like also the senior center then doesn't have to, necessarily worry about the food component for folks.
Yeah, the dining component is probably the central part of the offering. I mean, people live here, they want to experience the dining. It's one of the aspects that they look forward to each day.
Yeah. I think just as like on a personal, like experiential that I'm, going through with my own parents, like it's hard for me to know without actually being able to spend some time to like look and see what this community offers, because like there is a wide range of, what is out there in terms of like even looking at what issues have happened in these communities without having some time to look at that. Like it does just, I know I've had to deal with that with my own situation, and it's like you don't always know just by looking at some place. And it's not to be offensive, I just have no idea without having time. And so
I would highly recommend you go to Health Dimension Group's website. They're very, very experienced. They've been managing for over 25 years now. So this is not a new startup by any means. They've got significant experience, not only across the country, but right in this market.
Yeah, I will just comment that my dad lives in an experienced complex too, and it's not great. So the only other thing is I would say is, Stephanie did mention that like the price point is like the issue with seniors in our community is that like they have like not as much access to funding too. So like just this price point is tricky. We're not actually serving necessarily the people that currently live here. It's not to say we shouldn't do this. I'm just like commentary in terms of like thinking about the people that live here, and we're trying to find like opportunities for them to live here and to continue to live here. And this is just a really high price point potentially for some of the folks that they're trying to serve at the community, at the senior center, and try to find housing to keep them here. Again, this is just what she's asking of us to consider, because it impacts her significantly by having this housing come in. So I don't know if I feel comfortable voting on it today personally, just because I feel like I need to get more information just for myself to like look at their background. But I really appreciate you joining us and answering all the questions that I have for you.
Other thoughts from the council? Alder Swanson, then Alder Tucker Long, and then myself.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I find myself in a similar boat as Alder Humke. I would like to take some of the feedback that we've just gotten, the information that we've gotten, and consult with our director of senior services to have a more experienced perspective on sort of what this would look like from her position. That being said, I appreciate hearing that some of those concerns are already planning on being addressed. Things like having the transportation, that it's structured around the idea that they're buying into a meal plan, which eases the need to get seniors either to dining options outside or getting them regularly to grocery stores so that they can buy things for their own meals. Those are things that strike me as positives, pretty much unmitigated. But I do think that at this time I would like to push this off until our next meeting before voting.
Alder Tucker Long.
So I have two questions. The first is for Lucas. We're voting on a preliminary plat here at this point. Can you clarify what we're approving versus not approving at this point?
Yeah, so it is a preliminary plan approval. So this is the first of two steps for plan development approval. The The approval for the preliminary plan is essentially the conceptual site plan. It's looking at the amount of parking that they have, the height, any exceptions that they're seeking. But there will need to be more information that'll need to be presented to the Plan Commission and then also the Comment Council for a final decision. And that'll include things like, the building renderings, the operations of the of the senior center, landscaping, any other condition like that would be part of that final plan approval.
So if we approve the preliminary plans today, is that the final review for like type of units and number of units and setbacks and things like that? Or is there a final approval at some point for those?
Yeah, that's tricky. I think when the final plan comes back, that final plan needs to be consistent with what was approved in the preliminary plan. It's just more detail, essentially. So there could be a change of unit mix. It's just really providing more detail in a project like this for a plan development. Typically, it's a big lift or investment for the applicant to put together all the materials necessary. And so that's why it's done in like a two-step process. It also allows the community kind of more time to think about some of these impacts.
Okay, and then my second question is for the applicant. You are requesting a setback for a patio, and it looks like the setback is from County Highway M. And I'm curious if you can explain your reasoning for that and what you're hoping to provide for your residents with a patio that close to the highway.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. So the purpose of the patio, it's primarily to be able to open up the set of double doors leading out to the outdoors to bring in fresh air outside from the outside. It will also allow people to sit out there or be in a wheelchair out there to be able to, frankly, a lot of people love to watch traffic, watch cars, watch activity. And that's what they're looking for, activity to observe. And so that's the opportunity that the patio provides in that current location.
Okay, I guess my thoughts on this as well kind of echo what Alder Swanson said. I feel like I would really like to get some more information about our obligations with approving these types of units. I also know that there is an incredible need for senior housing. But from what I've been hearing, there's an incredible need for affordable senior housing. And so I want to make sure that we have all the information before approving this. But I am in favor of more senior housing. I'm just a little concerned about the location, being right on a busy road. And also, with decreased setbacks, if we need to expand County Highway M in the future, that's not a lot of space then. Yeah, and it's really far from any sort of services and things or activities that people may want to do. So, thanks.
I have a question for Mr. Siebertson. Who regulates these? It's the state, right?
In Wisconsin, I don't know all the rules and the regulations, but it's typically the state that that regulates.
The state regulates the assisted living and the memory care. It will be a licensed community. The independent living is non-regulated, if you will. But just to clarify, I mean,
Thank you, because you're, sorry, no question was directed at you, but I appreciate the clarification. I guess my larger point is that like the city doesn't regulate these and ultimately the state does. And like, I do really appreciate people wanting to be cautious and want to make sure that they're safe and everything else. But I mean, definitely staff could do research in 2 weeks and try to figure out what they can about the company. But no offense to Jamie or Mr. Severson or Mr. Aulick, I should say. They're not experts in running a care facility. So I imagine it would be a lot of Googling and searching and maybe calling some people at the state. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, you know, the state's that one is regulating these things. And so I think, I don't know. To me, I look at it like from a land use perspective, I think this is a good land use. I think we need care facilities like this. And if there's problems, obviously we have the ability, the city has the ability as staff to take complaints to the state in the way a regular person wouldn't. So I guess that's the way I kind of view it. I totally understand if people need more information or people want to think about it. But I think it's a good land use, and I think this is something that our community needs. Alder Tucker-Long.
I guess I wanted to clarify, like, the more information I was looking for is it sounds like that there's a financial impact to our senior center for this coming in, like a financial obligation.
I mean, I think Alder Helmke can clarify, but ultimately the financial obligation is based on what the finance committee wants to do. So obviously we could obviously opt to leave staffing at a certain level, but I do think it's something I think we need to be cognizant of with everything. I mean, like any development that adds road is a further burden on public works. Anything that adds people is a potential further burden or a chance to serve for the public library. And it's the same way with a senior facility. Like it will potentially cause either strains in staffing or to add people, although I kind of think we might need to add another senior staff person, but I'm not going to get into the budget quite yet. But
Okay.
so I guess does that clarify? I don't know if Alder Helmke, since you chair finance and senior
Yeah, I mean, so
services-
I think there's two pieces of this, honestly. I actually don't chair senior services.
Right, sorry. You're on senior.
I'm gonna not own that one. So there's two pieces of this because there's the actual humans that serve this community, that serve the seniors, and the impact of the work that they need to do. I would argue maybe a little bit counter to the mayor, because when communities are not run effectively, it actually puts a higher burden on the senior. That's what it has been told to me. It puts a higher burden when they're not managed properly and and the independent living folks don't have the support that they need. Like, it puts more work on our case managers. I'm not suggesting that this is going to be the case. I'm just saying that's what she said to me. The other piece of it is, so programming needs. We already are like, it's amazing. Our senior center is incredible. They do so much great work. They're already at the brims of programming. Thank goodness we have a community center now that a lot of it's, some of it's transferring to, which is also amazing. But it's just going to expand. When you have 66 people, again, not everybody's going to take advantage of the opportunities. But, maybe a lot of them do, because we offer exercise classes and other, there's just like a wealth of things that happen at the senior center. On top of that, I would also say there is potentially the need for like additional space. So even if we outgrow, the current senior center is already at capacity. We don't have enough parking. We know that. It's like they have issues when there's big events because they're parking and, like crosswalks and things, so there's already issues, especially when you're dealing with an aging population. You don't want them walking like in the road, and, if they have mobility issues, like you need to be cognizant of where you're asking people to park. And so this becomes an also capacity issue. So it's like a good problem to have that we have people coming into our community, but it costs money. All these things, like there are impacts from a human cost, a capital cost. And I don't disagree that potentially there's like, that we might need some extra support anyway, but like this just would put an additional burden on. And I think we're just trying to advocate and explain that like, it's not just this building that's coming in and we're saying yes to all the things that come with it, which is great. We want to serve people. We just want to make sure we're being smart about it. So we set everybody up for success is my sort of take on it. Yeah, I was gonna say, it's sort of like, in some ways, how we thought about sort of the Monk's property, right? Like we want to when we bring people in, we want to make sure we have the services available for them to be successful. And so it's sort of similarly aligned in the sense of like, that it would add support service potentially needs. So I personally would like to just at least touch base with Stephanie to like, have her listen to this, have her listen to the meeting and give feedback. But like, again, I hear what you're saying too. So
Alder Swanson, then myself.
Yeah, so I have a question for the applicant and then thoughts. So my question is, this is sort of prompted by what Alder Humke was just saying. Do you know if the group that you partner for, do they do in-house activity planning, or do they rely more extensively on the neighborhood that they're settled in?
No, we have a full-time activities director who is in charge of programming daily activities. There's a daily schedule of all the activities that the residents can attend. And the reason for that is that typically the residents don't want to leave the community. They want to participate in the activities. That's why they moved in here, because they want the convenience of having activities right in the building. There's a fitness wellness center within the building. There is, there's rooms to play cards. There's rooms for playing different games. That is the activity director's responsibility and role, is to keep these people active. And frankly, that's why they move in here, is because of the experience they will have in the things that, that are brought to them.
Thank you. That does answer my question. And I think that it's important for us to know. My other thought, though, is that while yes, I am definitely on board with sort of the idea that the mayor expressed, that we are in dire need of expanding our senior living availability, and that this is fundamentally a good use of the space, right? It's exactly what the kind of thing that we should be putting in as it is zoned and as it is planned. I think that all tracks. At the same time, I'm the one that mentioned at Plan Commission that we should be talking about this project with our senior services director. And I think it would be remiss of us not to take the information that we've gotten, go back, ask her what she thinks, and get that second layer of feedback before we approve or disapprove of this project. That's where I am. I don't imagine, from what I understand of these development schedules, that 2 weeks is going to be a gross burden.
I guess, sorry, were you done? I had a question based on your comment. I guess a question for Ms. Fisher. I mean, there's stormwater stuff that has to still be sorted out for this property as well. So I mean, it's not like they can put shovels in the ground in the spring, right? Am I right?
Yeah, so we talked about this last week at Plan Commission too, as part of the overall development of this north neighborhood, kind of Whispering Coves area. There needs to be a stormwater pump station and associated force main installed. So that would need to occur, as part of the next development that occurs in this area.
Okay. So it's not shovel ready.
It is not yet. It's moving forward, but it's not shovel ready yet.
Okay. I guess then I have a question to the applicant. I guess one, would 2 weeks throw your timeline off too much? And two, would you be able to reach out to the senior center director in the next 2 weeks?
The answer is yes. We can definitely reach out. I will have my contact at Health Dimensions Group reach out to the senior director and communicate and make sure that she fully understands the operations here and the track record of Health Dimensions Group. If you want to delay this 2 weeks, will that put a burden on it? It's not ideal, but we could accept that.
Okay. Alder Tucker-Long.
So I want to start by saying I think our senior center does absolutely amazing work, just fantastic work. I know they are all working way too hard to try to get more work done than they possibly can. And I definitely don't want to be increasing the burden on them, or not necessarily the burden, but the more opportunities to serve is a much better way of putting it. Because I don't consider any of our seniors to be a burden, just to clarify. But I am thinking about this in a couple of different ways in that, we want to have good facilities come in. On the flip side, the more options there are, the better places will have to be to get business. Right now, there's such a shortfall that it unfortunately doesn't really matter how good some of these facilities are. They are packed because there just are no other options. And so the more facilities or the more units we have available, hopefully the better the service will become. The other thing that's striking me at the moment is that we just approved a whole bunch of housing, but didn't discuss at all how this affects like the rec department or things like that, other types of staff that provide services. And I understand the senior center staff, it performs a different type of service than, say, the rec department does, but it's still a staffing issue that I don't know that it should stop housing from coming in. So I guess at this point, I would be happy to see this move forward. And I would like to keep Stephanie in the conversation as things move forward. But, you know, I don't want to slow down housing, especially in an area that has such a big need right now.
I guess I'll turn my mic on. I guess I'll jump in and just say there is a motion before the body, and obviously the council can either move to delay it to the next meeting or take a vote on it tonight. But definitely open for comments and however the body wants to proceed. Oh, Mr. Severson.
Yeah, if it's okay, I just wanted to provide a little bit of context to it. I know we've been working with the applicant and the property owner, well, the property owner since well before my time, but 2017, to develop this property. And we've been working with Erdman for about a year so far. They've been delayed because of Whispering Coves just in general has been delayed with the first phase of development. And so we asked them to hold off on submitting their applications to the Plan Commission until Whispering Coves was at a point in which we thought it could, move forward. And so I just want to, I guess, let the Plan Commission and the council know that the applicant has been waiting for a period of time, and this Whispering Coves development, things are tenuous with how it moves forward, if it's going to move forward, and so I just want to put out there anything we can do to encourage the success of Whispering Coves is going to be helpful.
Thank you for that context. Alder Swanson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Stevenson. While I appreciate that perspective, I think at this time I'm happy to move to consider this again in 2 weeks after allowing the applicant the opportunity to contact our senior services director and get some additional feedback and then vote on it at that time.
Okay, was that a motion?
Yes,
or,
yes.
Okay.
I move to consider this in 2 weeks instead.
Did you have a specific point of order? Or?
I was just going to ask if it was appropriate now to do a motion per Alder Swanson just did.
No, we can just make a motion to refer it to the next meeting, because then it'll be guaranteed on the agenda, no matter what. Again, if you want to vote on it tonight, obviously vote no. If you want to vote on it in 2 weeks, then vote yes. Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Weiss. Motion to delay it to the next council meeting before the body. Questions or comments on this motion? Alder Tucker-Long.
I would just like to remind everyone that this is sort of unusual to delay something to request them to speak with one of our department directors before we move forward on a building project like this. Like I said, we just approved a ton of houses earlier, which could also impact our senior center, but we didn't ask them to go and speak to the senior center staff before approving it. And so, I don't know, I just feel a little uncomfortable treating this so differently. And I understand it is different, but it's not that different. So, okay, thanks.
Other questions or comments? Alder Harrison.
I just want to say for the record, I agree with Alder Tucker-Long and would like to not hinder progress tonight, just for the sake of getting a little bit more information. Probably won't change very much at the end of the day.
Other thoughts from the council? Seeing no further discussion, we're going to raise hands. All those in favor of referring it to the next council meeting, raise your hand. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Opposed, raise your hand. And it is being referred to the next council meeting by a 4-3 vote. We will take it up at the next council meeting. With that, we are still under Plan Commission. Alder Swanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This should be the final item for Plan Commission. I move to approve resolution number 26-007 for a certified survey map to create 2 lots located at 110 and 112 in Icon Drive, subject to and effective upon the listed conditions.
Motion by Alder Swanson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Host. Alder Swanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Plan Commission voted 5-0 to recommend that the Common Council approve the certified survey map to split Lot 1 of the Harmony Hills subdivision into 2 lots with the following conditions. First, that a shared wall or zero lot line maintenance agreement shall be recorded with the Dane County Register of Deeds and shared with the city for their records. Second, that an ingress-egress easement document shall be shared with the city for their records and must have an area depicting no vehicular access strip. And third, that a water and sewer easement document shall be executed and recorded with the Dane County Register of Deeds and shared with the city for their records.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution number 26-007, approving a certified survey map to create 2 lots located at 110 and 112 Einichen Drive, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? And that motion passes. Anything further from Plan Commission?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
With that, we will move on to 10C, Public Works, Sewer, and Water Committee. Alder Tucker Long.
Thank you. I move to approve ordinance number 26-1083, repealing and recreating Title 15, Chapter 2, relating to construction site erosion and stormwater runoff control.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Swanson. Alder Tucker Long.
Thank you. This proposed ordinance reflects a major restructuring of the city ordinance to better match the major restructuring that Dane County did to their equivalent ordinance, while including some of Verona's unique requirements, such as managing proposed flow rates to pre-settlement conditions versus existing conditions. Given the number of changes to the proposed update, staff are recommending that the council repeal and then recreate the entirety of the ordinance.
Thank you for that explanation. Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of ordinance number 26-1083, appealing and recreating Title 15, Chapter 2 of the Code of Ordinances relating to construction site erosion and stormwater runoff control, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? And the motion passes. Alder Tucker Long.
I move to approve the select key criteria in the site selection matrix to produce the final site rankings for the new Public Works facility.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alder Swanson. Alder Tucker Long.
At the January 26, 2026 Common Council meeting, it was decided that elected officials would rank select site selection criteria. Feedback was received and the results are enclosed in the council packet.
Questions or comments on this motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the key criteria and site selection matrix for potential sites for the new Public Works facility signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? And that motion passes. Anything further from Public Works?
Nothing further.
Excellent. Well, with that, we move on to item 11, which is new business. First up, we have 11A, which is a discussion and possible action regarding resolution number R-26-008, supporting the Hometown Crossroads Safety and Mobility Study and authorizing submittal of a build grant application. Mr. Aulick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This resolution supports moving forward with the Hometown Crossroads Safety and Mobility Study, a comprehensive planning effort focused on the Verona Avenue and Main Street intersection. This intersection is Verona's most critical transportation crossroads and has been identified in the comprehensive plan as the city's top transportation concern due to longstanding safety, congestion, and pedestrian and bicycle connectivity challenges. The study would evaluate existing conditions, engage the community, and identify feasible, cost-effective improvements to improve safety and multimodal access for all users while supporting long-term downtown vitality. The intent is to take a proactive, data-driven approach to reducing conflicts and the risk of serious injuries and fatalities and to position the city for future implementation and redevelopment opportunities. This resolution also authorizes staff to apply for a U.S. DOT build grant to support the study. If awarded, the city would provide the required 20% local match, with federal funds covering the remaining 80% of the study costs. This approach allows Verona to leverage federal funding to move forward with planning for this high-priority corridor. And Mr. Mayor, if I may, I wrote a letter of support, and I'd just like to read one paragraph out of it.
Okay.
So this has been my experience in Verona for the last 2.5 years. And in my letter to the Secretary of the DOT, I say, there is scarcely a day that passes without a complaint about this intersection or a question about when it will be addressed. The challenges are widespread and persistent. Businesses located at or near the intersection are negatively impacted. School district buses are required to use it due to the absence of a viable alternate route. Traffic backups for blocks in all directions during peak hours are routine, and the intersection presents serious safety risks for pedestrians, cyclists, and users of e-bikes and scooters. City operations are also affected. Law enforcement, fire and emergency medical services vehicles, along with snowplows and other public works vehicles, find the intersection difficult to navigate and during periods of congestion, nearly impassable, which for public safety means increased response times for people who need help. Overall, concerns are raised by residents of all ages, underscoring the breadth of the problem. This unsafe intersection stands out as the single most significant transportation challenge facing the city and is in urgent need of a long-term solution. So I think we all know Verona and Main, that intersection, and I'm sure all of us here have been lined up for blocks when it backs up, and it is constraining the vitality and the growth of this wonderful community, and if we have an opportunity to address it, we need to do it. So that's kind of where we sit right now, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Swanson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the one hand, I think I should just move to approve it right away because it's pretty self-evident. I don't think I could have put it any better than Mr. Aulick did, that we need to do something about that intersection. Those of you who have not sat in on the comprehensive plan task force meetings, I'm sure you know, but it is so clearly just the crux. Like it is literally the crossroads at the center of which the rest of the city turns, and we have to do something about it. And that just means we have to spend money on a study to figure out what to do about it. And if we can get the feds to pay 80% of that study, I am all in favor of it. But I'm in favor of it even if we can't.
Other thoughts or motions from the council? Alder Weiss.
Mr. Aulick, what does a study like this cost? Like, what is there?
Excellent question. Of course, an obvious one. It's on average for this type of grant is $3.6 million, and it could go up to $4 million, we think, potentially. But we're asking for the grant amount for the $4 million, which would be a grant of $3.2 million from the federal government, with us paying the other 20%, which is $800,000. That would be part of the normal budgeting process that we do as the city. The interesting twist on this particular intersection, it's specified within the TID 9 project plan as receiving some assistance from the Classic and the park and Steve Brown Apartments and all those developments are in that TID, and they're obviously affected by that intersection. So they're working on some split of a contribution out of the TID, so it wouldn't purely be the burden of the general fund of the city to pay for it. But there's a second component to this, if and when we would get this grant and it's all, it falls into place, right? The second part of this is there's a capital part of actually implementing these through another second build grant. And as part of that, there could be things like right-of-way acquisitions where, if we needed to acquire properties or things like that, that would qualify as a capital expense in this part 2 of this project. But we got to get the plan in place. We have to get public support behind whatever is decided as part of this plan. And that's a really important phase 1 kind of aspect to all this.
Is my understanding correct that a build grant that would assist with the capital expenditure at some undetermined future date, that's facilitated and improved upon being awarded a build grant for the study design phase initially? So if we were to get this build grant, that would increase our chances of getting a build grant for the actual construction?
All I can tell you is each grant application is evaluated independently of each other. We'd have, whatever chance on the second one as we have on the first one. But again, as I mentioned, we're collecting letters of support. We are getting all the reasons that this intersection needs to be addressed, collected up. So there's no necessarily increased chances if you get the first one, you'll get a second one. But I think they will have a good recognition of what's going on over here. One of the things that we plan on doing actually is having a drone fly when school lets out and have this long line of these yellow buses that back up at 3:15 or whatever it is in the afternoon along Main Street and kind of, picture should say 1,000 words on what we're dealing with here. But yeah, no, and actually, Carla just reminded me too, it's not just the intersection itself, it's everything that feeds into it. So just to give you an idea of the bounds that we're looking at for this particular study, on the south end, it goes on Main Street to Paoli. It starts at Paoli on the south and runs all the way to Cross Country on the north side. And then on the west side, on Verona Avenue, it starts at Nine Mountain Road, and then it goes all the way through to Enterprise Drive. So we're thinking about things even within like more turn lanes or longer turn lanes and things like that. So it's a really comprehensive look at all the everything that feeds into that intersection.
Thank you.
Alder Hoax.
So do they offer suggestions, right? That's part of this, not just studying that, telling us what we already know that it's an issue, right? Like there's concrete steps and suggestions on what we need to do, or is that phase 2?
Nope, we're trying to get through what's called 60% plans, like have an actual plan that we want to implement as part of this phase 1. And then basically how it's going to work is there'll probably be alternatives kind of brought up, and then they'll be presented to the public, and we can get feedback and whatnot on what works best on addressing this.
Okay, perfect.
So that's kind of the goal.
Okay, thank you.
Are we also inviting residents to submit letters in support of this grant proposal?
I haven't solicited residents per se. I solicited the businesses around and various groups and things like that have a stake. I would be willing to take any letter of support. That would be fine with me.
Just, in my previous grant, very limited experience, getting, if we got a bunch of letters from residents, it gives them a chance to vent, and it gives, and it adds another layer of like, we received, 1,000 letters in support of this proposal from, you know what I mean? Like, so I would encourage that as a possible action item to add weight to our proposal.
If anyone wants to send one, my name's Jamie, 111 Lincoln Street, Verona. We're good to go. I'll include it, no problem.
I will say one quick thing. We are under a pretty tight timeline for getting
Yes, that great point. February 24th is the filing deadline. So got a couple of weeks, but yeah. Feel free to hand deliver at City Hall.
Other questions, comments, or motions? Alder Hoax.
Just when is so you submit it 24th of February, and then how long is do we know when they get awarded?
Unsure. We'll check. We'll let you know. I'll make a note.
Other questions, comments, or motions? Alder Tucker Long.
If we approve this resolution, what happens if we don't get the grant?
Mr. Alec?
If we don't get the grant, we've not lost nothing, but there is, we figure an estimate of about $20,000 to put this application all together. That would be what we would be out. And again, that would be split between the TID and the Public Works Department engineering budget. So, and we can cover our portion in the general fund through what's already allocated in the engineering budget.
In that case, I would like to move to approve resolution number R-26-008, supporting the Hometown Crossroads Safety and Mobility Study and authorizing submittal of a build grant application.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Keller. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? I mean, we kind of got to do it. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution number R-26-008, supporting the Hometown Crossroads Safety and Mobility Study and authorizing submittal of a build grant application, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. We'll move on to 11B, which is a discussion and possible action regarding resolution number R-26-009, authorizing the city administrator to apply for grants regarding the Recreation Trails Program grant. Mr. Aller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This resolution authorizes the city administrator to apply for a Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Recreation Trails Program Grant, or RTP grant, to support trail-related improvements for public outdoor recreation. The city has budgeted sufficient funds to complete the project and is seeking grant assistance to help offset trail paving and repair costs. Approval of the resolution also authorizes staff to submit the application, execute required documents, request reimbursement, and take other necessary actions if funding is awarded, and commits the city to complying with all applicable state and federal grant requirements, including public access, long-term maintenance, and approval of any future changes in use. And I will add, the Assistant City Administrator is at it again, applying for grants. So this one would be up to $100,000, and it could be put towards either trail maintenance, i.e. there are parts of, that, as we know, are paths that are broken. We could repair them, or we could put it towards the Military Ridge State Trail paving project. So we have some flexibility on how we use this.
Questions, comments, or motions on this item? Alder Tucker Long.
I move to approve Resolution R-26-009, authorizing the city administrator to apply for a grant for the Recreational Trails Program grant.
Motion by Alder Tucker Long. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Swanson. Motion before the body. Questions or comments on the motion? Alder Keller.
I was just going to say thank you to city staff for finding these opportunities. I know that doing these grant applications is not a barrel of fun, but it's so helpful and so awesome when we have wins, and I think it's a great budgetary strategy for us to keep on finding ways to make the city better without burdening our taxpayers. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I'll take that back.
Other questions or comments on the motion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor of resolution number R-26-009, authorizing the city administrator to apply for a grant, the Recreation Trails Program grant, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And that motion passes. With that, we move on to item 12, which is adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Alder Hoax. Is there a second? Seconded by Alder Humke. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And we are adjourned at 8:19 p.m. Thank you, everyone.